Hello, good afternoon. It's day 4 of Triple Xmas Ghost City Christmas Entertainment. I am Faderhead. I'm lying in my bed because I've been doing a lot of other stuff over the past 3 days. I've been eating a lot, and I figured lying in my bed would be a nice way to do this because it's comfy. And I want to talk to you about how to get in shape in 2021 and maybe how to lose the whatever it is 20 pounds of COVID weight that we all gained. I know I did. I don't know how much I gained exactly, but at some point I weighed 105 kilos, which is 230 pounds in non-metric American weighing system. And I decided that at 6'1", which is 185 centimeters, that's not a good body weight. I should be lighter than that. And obviously then started losing some weight, but figured I'm probably not the only one. And towards the end of the year, everyone's been starting their, next year I'm going to get in shape, planning, New Year's resolutions. What you probably don't know is that when I do not make industrial music, electronic music, I have been working in the health and fitness industry for about 20 years, longer, 21 years. And I ran gyms like Home's Place or a Hamburg company called Meridian Spa. I worked at the University of Hamburg Sports Science Department in a rehab program. I also have been a personal trainer for about, almost 20 years. And I've seen a lot of things that are very, very, let's say, down to earth, which means I'm not a fitness influencer. I'm not about getting the most shredded. I'm not about standing on a bodybuilding stage. I'm not about any of this because I have 20 years experience with real people like you, like me, like everyone who's like a normal person where fitness isn't the number one priority. And I think there's a big lack of that when you look on the internet, because usually the person who's doing the program or who's talking about it is in their 20s. They have maybe a few years experience in the field, and you can really tell from the way they communicate the info, and from the way the info is structured or what kind of info they give. So I hope I can give you a different perspective on some things and give you some value for your possible attempts to get into shape in 2021. All right, when this is over, I don't know how long I'm going to be talking. I will hopefully have removed about 90% of the typical misconceptions that almost everyone has about fitness. When people talk to me, they generally say things like, I don't know, I can't do this. I'm confused about where to get my info from. This guy says this girl says this, don't know what to believe. And that's a very, 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 very real problem. And I hope I can, get rid of most of the issues that exist there. So after this, you probably know a little bit more about fitness. You have a little bit different outlook, and you can totally get in shape, get healthy, feel better, maybe get laid, whatever you want. And let's just start. Number 1, first thing, you have to get your head right. Generally, I ask or I say, if you show me your bank account and your calendar, then I can tell you what you're actually serious about. If you say you're really serious about fitness and there's no gym sessions or no training or nothing scheduled in your calendar, then I know you're absolutely not serious about fitness. If I look at your bank account or your credit card statement and I don't see a gym membership or I don't see healthy foods in there, I know you're absolutely not serious about fitness. If I see, I don't know, a lot of money spent on shoes, I know you're very, very serious about shoes. If I see a lot of, I don't know, dates with friends in bars in your calendar, I know you're very serious about social hangouts and maybe about beer. I don't know. But your calendar and your bank account, credit card statement, they show what you're actually serious about. Everyone says they're serious about one thing and then they do a lot of other things, and that's what they're really serious about. So the first thing to notice is, are you just thinking it would be nice to do something, or are you actually sitting down and saying, okay, Monday, I hate Mondays, I have to go to work, work is hard, I'm tired on Monday night, it's never going to happen that I go to the gym. So then you schedule the gym for Tuesday morning, maybe, and for Thursday, I don't know. My point is, did you ever consciously use your head to make decisions about how going to the gym or how walking outside or whatever the fitness activity of your choice is, how that will fit into your week, how it will be most easy for you to do it, and how you can manage that without killing your day and your, I don't know, your what do you call them? The responsibilities that you have. Because children, partner, work, those are real things and they have to be taken into account. And you should definitely do that. Number two, when people come to me and ask me for things, I ask them, did you do this and did you do that? And they always say, no, because. I couldn't do that because of work, because of my kids. Oh no, my partner doesn't want me to cook like that because he doesn't like it or she doesn't like it, doesn't matter. And also, again, these are real things. It never helps to say to someone who has these obstacles in their way, it never helps to tell them, you just gotta get hardcore, just gotta be tough on yourself. No, it doesn't work. If they were tough on themselves, they wouldn't have these obstacles. They would have told the partner to make his own damn food, and they would have told the kids to, I don't know, play the PlayStation 1 hour more, and they would have gotten up 1 hour earlier if they were hardcore. But they're not. I'm not hardcore. You're probably not hardcore. So the difference is in how to view this. And when most people start, they think they have to start with a complete change from let's say, couch potato life to fitness model, which is obviously completely false. But for some reason, many people think that. I would say 70% or 80%. And even though they probably will say they don't think that, most people think that they have to change everything. The first thing you have to change when you say, I can't do this because, is to say, okay, these are my obstacles. I can't do this because my partner is a bitch and my work is hard and my children are demanding. So switch it around and figure out what you can actually do. So from I can't do because, you changed it into something, I can do this little thing because all these other obstacles I have already taken into account, and I figured out something that I can do and that I'm actually willing to do. So if your trainer says, oh, you have to be 20 minutes on the treadmill 5 times a week to lose some weight, you can basically tell him to go fuck himself, unless that's what you want to do anyway. The idea here is to say, okay, maybe I can do 10-minute walks once every other day. And I'm actually willing to do that. And then you start with that and slowly expand. But you go from, that's the important part, you go from I can't do this because to I can do this little thing and I actually want to do this little thing because all the other things are my obstacles. I hope this makes some sense. You find the smallest thing that you want to do and you can do, you do that, and then you slowly expand that because you see some benefit from it. Okay, number 3, very important. Do not set yourself deadlines and goals. I know this goes completely against everything what people say, especially what trainers say. Oh, the first thing we do is we establish goals and then we make a plan. And this sounds great, but it never really helps because what happens, I mean, it never really helps. It's wrong. It often doesn't help because you establish a goal, you reach the goal, and what do you do then? Either you have to establish a more difficult goal, or, and that's what happens with, let's say 60, 70%, people have a hard time staying there and maintaining that. Because once you reach a goal and you're happy with that, what are you going to do? Keep up the same amount of effort? This is the typical thing. You lose 10 kilos, you sit there, go like, oh, I look nice, and then you gain the 10 kilos again because the maintaining is too difficult. So what I really suggest is to switch again. We're still in the, you have to get your head right idea of the whole thing. Try to think of everything you want as a lifelong endeavor. And I think I have to expand on this a little more. The old model of life was you wake up, no, you don't wake up, you're born, you go to school, you're useless for the first 20 years, then you learn a job, then you go to that job for about 45 years, then you're 65, then you retire, and then you die at 75. If you were a rare person, you took a little bit of care of your body, you played tennis, you played golf, you did these things. And this model of life does not work at all anymore. All of us are going to be 95, except if you're really unhealthy. Because even those who are 45 now still have 50 years to be 95. And the life expectancy is already over 80 in most like first world countries. And medicine is only going to get better. So the idea that we're going to be done at 65 it's not valid anymore. You all heard the, what do you call it, the line 30 is the new 40, what is it, 40 is the new 30. And this will continue to stretch out into the future. So the new model of life is something like you gotta be responsible for yourself and get into some sort of shape so that from, let's say, 50, you are not a completely decrepit shell and kind of trapped in a body that doesn't do the next 45 years for you anymore. Because then we will have the medicine to make you live a crappy but long life. We already have it. We're already doing this. So the point of this little sidebar here is to make you aware that it's not about getting in shape for the beach in 2021. It's actually about getting in some sort of shape and staying in that shape for, I don't know, the next 50, 60, 70 years, however long you're going to live. And that's where we're back at not making goals. If you make the goal to be in shape in 2021, like this video says, that's a nice catchy thing to say. Yeah, I'm going to get in shape for 2021, and it's a good idea. But the real thing should be get in shape for life, and don't worry about when you'll actually be in shape. And what I mean by that is, it's nice to look good at the beach in, I don't know, in summer 2021, if we can get to any beaches by then. But what's much nicer is to be able to go to the beach in 2031, and 2041, and 2051, because you didn't spend all your energy for like 3 months to lose all the weight and get as lean as possible to look good at the beach, but you spent a consistent but much lower amount of energy over a long period of time, so that in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, even if you don't want to go to the beach, you can at least be active and feel halfway good. So try to think of the whole fitness, as they say, fitness journey. I hate this term, as something that is forever, and that is not something that you have to do begrudgingly, that is punishing and hard, but it's something that you actually at some point will enjoy because you're only doing the things that you're actually willing to do, and you're slowly putting things that used to be hard and that, how do you say this, that, my English is not that good today, I'm sorry. Things that used to be deadlines with hard programs underneath, you turn those into habits by saying, sorry, I got my train of thought back. So instead of saying, okay, I have a goal, I want to be lose 10 kilos in three months, you say, what helps me be healthier, and maybe what leads maybe to weight loss? And that would be, let's be super simple, eat less, because that's one of the things that very often works. So instead of saying, oh, let me look at the scale, and let me, I don't know, measure my belly fat or whatever, instead of doing that, you start with a habit, with forming a habit by saying, okay, maybe I will not eat full butter on my rolls in the morning along with Nutella and something else. Instead, I will eat, I don't know what, a yogurt. Or like me, I don't eat in the morning anymore. It's the intermittent fasting thing that everyone does. Whatever it is, the point here is to say, I'm not shooting for a goal, 10 kilos less in 3 months. I'm just establishing habits. I will eat less in the morning. I will, walk to my car. No, I will park my car further from my work and walk to work for 10 minutes or something like that. And then just do that, because it's much, much, much easier to establish that than to be at the mercy of whatever the scale says, of whatever your body actually does, and of an outcome that you don't have control over. You have control over what you put in your mouth. Nothing accidentally ends up in your mouth. But you have no control over your scale or your body fat, really. You don't. Your body does that. All right? Do not set goals. Try to establish habits that you have control over and do them over and over so you can have a long-term fitness plan or fitness habit for the next 60, 70 years, because you're gonna be 95. All right, last thing for the brain department. Please, 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 please do not compare yourself to people who are genetically superior to you. Everyone you see on the internet is much, much, much better genetically than you, and me, and everyone else. Let's say you take Instagram and you scroll through the fitness models. Everyone looks amazing. First of all, half of them is photoshopped. Then the other half is just people who most of the time look like that when they were born. And even if they didn't, as soon as they started training, their genes helped them immensely. This is not going to be an excuse to be lazy and unhealthy. It's just that you really have to understand that there are people who are born looking great, and if they go to the gym and do the worst things ever, they will still look great. I used to have a friend, his name is Pedro Gonzalez, whatever. He could run a triathlon without training for it. He would literally not train, just grab his old bike and do the Hamburg triathlon, and he would never train for it. He was the strength and conditioning coach for FC St. Pauli, which is a Hamburg soccer club, and the Hamburg Freezes, which is the ice hockey team. And he was fitter and in better shape than most of his professional players that he trained. And it wasn't because he was training really hard. It was just he trained whatever in the gym, but he was genetically so superior to everyone else that mattered more than anything else. He was a smart guy. He knew everything about training, but he didn't have to train hard. And this is completely pervasive on the internet. Everyone you see on the internet who is a fitness person, model, influencer, whatever, they will always look better than you because that's what made them stick out. And that doesn't mean you can't look great, you can't be the best you or whatever people say these days. It just means if you've been training for 6 months and you didn't get the booty that booty girl Ivanka from Russia has, take your time, don't be frustrated. This, like, your reality is actual reality. The booty models, they have back pain from sticking out their ass so much, we call it stripper pose, and they really have good genetics. So please, 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 and this is very important, do not compare yourself to anyone on the internet. The only person you can compare yourself is to yourself yesterday and the day before. And even that is not always a good idea, all right? Internet, all fake. All right, the next big thing, after you got your mind right, taking care of the most important things, scheduled your workouts, started thinking about what you can do instead of what you can't do, and stopped comparing yourself to booty girl 65 from, I don't know, Brazil. After you did all that, you have to start figuring out where you get your info from. Most people get their fitness info from the completely wrong places. If you are a 65-year-old woman, there is no way in hell that you generally should be getting your fitness info from John Meadows, who is a professional bodybuilder and who is the best bodybuilder when it comes to info. If you want to learn anything about bodybuilding, watch everything that John Meadows says. He's a genius, not a genius, but he's very good at this. He has a lot of common sense. He's super honest. John Meadows is the guy, unless you're a 65-year-old woman who wants to start getting healthy. He's the completely wrong guy. Nothing he says pertains to you. If you are a yoga person, or like if you want to do yoga and you're 30 kilos overweight, maybe, I don't know, the skinny ass, tiny yoga girl who twists herself into a pretzel isn't the right person to follow for you. Yes, she looks good. Yes, maybe you think you want to be like her one day. She's the wrong person. Maybe someone like Diamond Dallas Page, who is a former wrestler who's done a yoga program now, he might be much better for you because he's an old man who created a program for people who are overweight, who are out of shape, who have joint problems, and nothing he does ever looks unattainable. So maybe if you are 30 kilos overweight and you want to start with yoga, maybe find someone who kind of puts into practice what is good for you, which is, as a beginner, definitely not complicated yoga poses that keep you away from continuing. If things are too hard, that means you will stop doing them very, very quickly. And if you stop doing them, it wasn't worth anything, even though Yoga Girl looked really good in her, I don't know, super complicated poses. So find influences or find info that actually fits to who you are. If you're a powerlifter, listen to Dave Tate. Everything he says pertains to powerlifting. If you are, I don't know, an athlete, listen to Joe DeFranco. Everything he says is either for athletes or for washed up guys like me who are in their 40s and have their issues but still want to train. If you, who else do I have? If you want to do yoga and you're really a beginner, start with Diamond Dallas Page. I really recommend him because it is really simple. It's funny. It's not complicated. There's no like esoteric stuff behind it. I don't know. That's a lot of things that a lot of people you can follow, but just make sure it's actually for you, and that you actually like the person that you're following. Because if you don't like them and you think the info might be weird, like you're going for the info, but some stuff doesn't resonate with you, and then you go, oh, I don't like this guy anyway, so you switch. This is not the way to find someone who has good info for you. All right, next thing, also about info, don't get your info from people who have no business talking about health and fitness. And by that I mean like your boyfriend, the other guy who lifts and talks about how much he benches, the guy who plays American football and is huge, but doesn't really know anything about how to teach maybe a 35-year-old man how to healthily lift. And if you're a woman, for the love of God, don't ever train with your boyfriend. This is a pet peeve of mine, which happens very often, very frequently at the beginning of the year, when everyone goes to the gym to get in shape. You see endless amounts of men with their girlfriends or dates or whatever, wives. And it always looks the same, because including good intentions by the man, training someone is a skill. Seeing what the person is doing, explaining it, seeing how the person that's supposed to train reacts and adjusting to it so that it's free of frustration, that's a skill that is very, very difficult. Well, it's not rocket science, but it's difficult enough that most trainers who do this for a living are even still bad at. So if you look in the beginning of the year, if you see guys with their girlfriends in the gym, it's usually the men trying to show something that they have no skill in showing, and a lot of frustration developing between both the girl and the guy, because he's not happy with what she's doing because it doesn't look like the way it's supposed to look, and she's not happy because it doesn't feel good, and he's clearly annoyed. So unless you have an incredibly good relationship with your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, and even then, find a trainer who can actually help you, because that's his job. You wouldn't, I don't know, try to teach your girlfriend something that you've never taught anyone before. It's usually a recipe for disaster. The most important info of all that you have to get from somewhere, I just give it to you right now: move more, eat less. That's all you need to know. I'm serious. The way to get in shape, don't stress about macros, don't stress about vitamins, don't stress about should I eat carbs, should I eat anything, whatever. It's all not important. The only thing that's important is move more and eat less, to an extent, of course. But as soon as you start doing that, good things will happen. If you start with that, you also avoid getting too complicated. And getting too complicated in the beginning is one of the main things that people do when they fuck up their attempt to get healthy. All right, next thing would be, what would be the next thing? Yes, minimal effective dose. This is very important. Things like no pain, no gain, go hard or go home, high intensity, have no business in a training program for beginners. The amount of people who start on January 2nd with their get in shape attempts and who don't come back February 15th because it's too difficult, they're always tired, everything hurts, they have initial successes for a week or 3 and then nothing changes. It's 95% who have this kind of disappointing results. And one of the main reasons is that they do everything with way too much intensity. So the real thing you have to figure out is, what is the minimum that I can do that will still be a little more than I did yesterday? And if you're a beginner, especially if you work at a desk, the minimal effective dose for you is almost anything. If you only go to the supermarket and back, and the rest of the time you sit on your ass at the desk, on the couch, in the car, then walking for 10 minutes around the block is more than you're used to. And lifting 3 exercises for 1 set of 10 reps with no weight is more than you're used to. I know this goes against what we've been conditioned to think about from, I don't know, Rocky movies and all sorts of fitness advice from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and especially recently with, I don't know, 1 more set and all this shit that people keep spouting. And when I say shit, I mean it's shit for almost everyone except a special kind of population. For example, my friend Amy, who's a fitness model bodybuilding competitor, she needs to train very, very different from you and from me. But she's at a certain point, and her what do you call it? Her nutrition is dialed in and everything's working. So for her, this advice might be in some ways correct. But for most people, especially beginners, what you try to do is just a little more than you did yesterday, and always try to not make it hard. So no pain, no gain, never a good idea. Try to, imagine a scale from 0 to 10, and on that scale, 10 is you're in so much pain you have to stop. And 0 is like me now, I'm lying down, I have absolutely no effort doing this. Try to go for a 5 to 6. And that's it. Don't go harder than that. And you will see that at first, let's say maybe walking 15 minutes is difficult. That's like, not difficult, it's like a 5 to 6. And maybe after a week or two, walking 20 minutes is a 5. So what happened there is you got a little better, and you didn't really notice it because you only went for the same amount of effort, but you could walk for longer. The trick really is, for people who are beginners, is to never work a lot over 80% of effort. And I call this lift up the middle. And what that means is anything between 50 and 70%, let's say it's a 5 to 7 on the scale of effort. Let's say you lift a weight that's 10 kilos, and you lift it 10 times, and that is an effort of 6 something. Then what you try to do over time is to keep the effort at 6, but let the weight go up. So basically what you did is you lifted your 60% all the way up, and you never really trained that hard, but instead of 10 kilo for 10 reps, you now can lift 20 kilo for 10 reps after, I don't know, a month or 2 months, or whatever time. The weight isn't the point. The point is really that you didn't lift at an effort of 90%, because that's going to be hard, that's going to make you sore, that's going to make recovery harder for you, and it also means that very, very often you are not feeling that great the next few days. And again, if you have kids, if you have a job, if you have other things that you want to do, the gym is supposed to make you feel great. All my clients, so this is a side story. All my training clients, very often other people in the gym who know them personally, when they see us, they say, "Oh, are you getting tortured again?" And my clients always laugh because nothing we ever do is really that hard. And when they leave the gym, they feel much better than before, more energetic. Everything feels better, because the point is to activate and not annihilate. It's very, very important, especially for beginners, or especially if you're, let's say, 35, 40 years old and older and want to do this for a long time. Hope this makes sense. Minimal effective dose, train a little more than yesterday, don't train as hard as you can. All right, last thing for today. I hope so far that was interesting in some ways. Last thing for today. when it comes to nutrition, I said earlier, the only two things you need to know is you have to move more, you have to eat less. And by that, I don't mean you have to starve yourself or any of that. But that's what a lot of people think when they think going onto a diet. Dieting for most people means restricting their intake. And I know earlier I said you have to eat less, whatever. Again, it's about changing your approach and your mindset towards nutrition. When you always say, "Oh, I can't eat this," and I have to get rid of this from my food list, and I really would like to eat this cake, but I can't eat this cake because I'm not supposed to eat this cake anymore. Whatever. It's a restriction mindset. You're basically telling yourself, this is forbidden, this is forbidden, this is forbidden. And that's not what you want. You want to flip the food mindset from a restriction to a consumption mindset. And this is something I never hear from trainers at all. I don't know why, because it makes a big difference. What I mean by that is this. The consumption mindset, the restriction mindset says, you're not supposed to eat this or this or this. The consumption mindset says you have to eat this and this and this. And so the first thing you do is you figure out what are the things that you have to eat every day. In my case, now that I'm in the middle of losing weight, what I have to do is I have to drink 3 liters of water every day, which is for me is very easy. I easily drink 4.5 to 5. But I have to drink that amount of water. I also have to eat 1 or 2 apples a day, and that's just me eating an apple with 100 calories instead of eating ice cream with 1,000 calories. That's just you can eat a banana, you can eat whatever you want. For me, one of my rules is eat at least 1 or 2 apples a day. Let's say 2 apples a day. And what else is there? Oh yes, I want to have 150 grams of protein. And that would be 3 meals of 30 grams of protein. If you listen to bodybuilders, they usually want to have higher amounts of protein, but this is not, it doesn't really matter. The amount of protein right now doesn't really matter. What matters is that I have just figured 3 things that I absolutely have to consume every day before I say, oh, I shouldn't be eating this pizza today, or maybe I should. Because after you drank 3 to 4 liters of water, after you ate 150 grams of protein, which is 5 meals, it's not little, and after you had 2 apples, generally the amount of pizza you want to eat is not that big. But if you want to eat it, just eat it. As I said, I had 7 beers the other day. Probably will have a few tonight. But the mind shift is very different. Just going away from saying I cannot eat this, I'm not supposed to eat this, to I have to eat these things, and then I can figure out what else I eat, because it just feels much better to have a positive attitude and a consumption attitude than to have one that denies you of everything. All right, that's it from my little bedtime fitness stories. I don't know. I hope there was some value in it for you. Just to recap, get your mind right first. Schedule your workouts. Think about the things you actually can do as opposed to the things you can't do. Get your info right. Don't listen to people who have no business in telling you what to do because they don't know you, because they are completely removed from your situation. Train with a minimal effective dose, which means don't make it harder than absolutely necessary. Move more, eat less. And when you eat with a consumption mindset instead of a restriction mindset. All right? I hope this was of value for you. Please, if you have questions, leave them in the comments, but please don't ask me stuff like, my knee hurts, what could it be? Or, I want to lose 30 kilos, what am I supposed to do? This is impossible to answer in YouTube comments. If you have more general questions that leave them there. Maybe I can help you. Otherwise, I hope you could take something from this, and I wish you a good rest of this Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time.